I am delighted to be here today and honoured that he has asked me to host him for this particular book launch. And welcome Emmanuel Asukwo on the stage, financial expert and soon-to-be best-selling author.
Thank you.
Emmanuel, let's get started. I know this building means a lot to you. So why did you choose to be here? Tell me a little bit about what led you to this point.
Yeah, so, hey everyone. Hey. You're all looking lovely. Thank you for making an effort. I started putting Canary Wolf, make sure people had to dress up.
Okay. Yeah. It worked.
Smart, I have to think about these things. Yeah, why Canary Wolf? So basically, I grew up literally 10 minutes away from this very building. And in my house, I always tell people the story about, where's my mum? Where's mum? Mum? Hey, mum. Hey. Well, when I finish telling the story, see if you still want to clap. So, me and my mum very close. I'm a mummy's boy. Any mummy's boys in the house? God bless you. God bless you. And so, me and my mum are very close. But one thing that I used to do to always annoy my mum was leave the light on in the kitchen. I don't know if anyone's ever done this Yes, somebody's African as well. Yeah, they know. So basically, when money's tight, leaving the light on in the kitchen is like a sign that money is being wasted. And so what would happen is that my mum would obviously shout my name, and when she shouts your name in a certain way, hey man, you just say sorry, mum. You know you're finished. You know you've done something. You know you're about to get it. Run downstairs, and I'll go into the kitchen, see the light is on, and know that I'm about to get it. And so this is back in the day, by the way. I know we don't beat children anymore. But we don't admit it in public anymore. Anyway. But back then it was okay. It was okay. So now my mum would give me a good beating, and in order to get the beating to stop, she would beat me, but she would be like, if I cry, she'll tell me to stop crying or make noise. So then you be silent. And then she would tell me, oh, I'm not beating you hard enough. That's why you can be silent. So the only option was to faint. That was all that was.
Okay, wow.
That was the only way I could survive was to faint. And so I would faint, and then she would leave me after fainting. And then I would go upstairs, and I would look out of my window after getting beat for one light bulb in the kitchen, and then look at this building. Look at the Barclays building, and all the lights were on. Yeah. And I said to myself, these lot must have money. Because I just got beat for one light bulb. And these lot have left 100 floors and gone home. And so this was my dream, to get to Canary Wharf. Yeah. And so I was like, I've got to get, and I could see the Barclays building. I was like, I've got to get to Barclays. I used to see the little lights on the top of this building flashing, and I've got to get to Canary Wharf. And so here we are, full circle moment.
I love that. So before we talk about your career in Canary Wharf and how that all started, you've obviously written a book that's all about financial education and educating us about money. Can you tell me a little bit about your education in school?
Education in school. So I've written a whole chapter about the importance of financial education in school, just because I feel like it's a life skill. And I think about not even half, I don't think even 90% of the things I learned in school, I still do to this day. Or I can remember, especially that Shakespeare stuff. I don't have a clue. It was the type of school where you didn't get books, you'd have photocopies of the page that you were studying. It's that type of school, and it was a jungle. But I had a particular teacher who really used to look out for us. So me and my boys used to go early to school, and we used to play basketball outside, and we'd still end up late for class. So this particular teacher, Mr. Barry. Say hi, Mr. Barry, to everyone.
Hi, Mr. Barry. Oh, I love that.
So Mr. Barry used to see us, and he was very clever. So he understood that if he can control the basketball, he can control when we get to lesson. So he used to come in early and open up the gym, so we weren't playing outside in the winter. And so then he could organize it, make sure we finished on time and got to lesson. And that was the type of person that he was. And in that type of environment where it's a boys' school, you're always having to fight for everything. Even your dinner, even lunchtime is a fight. Like somebody wants to take a dinner ticket. Everything is a fight. It was always important to have somebody that was there for you. And Mr. Barry was like a mentor to me through school, even to the point where I left school. I only ended up getting 4 GCSE. So I'm part of the less than people that got there. And I went to the colleges that I wanted to go into, and they wouldn't let me do the courses that I wanted to do. And they wanted me to resit some of my GCSEs. And I actually went back. I called up the school, spoke to Mr. Barry. I told him, and he said, come in. And I came in, and he wrote me this long letter by hand, wrote me this long letter. And he said, take it to the college. And I took it to the college, and they let me do the course. And so
Wow.
Mr. Barry actually got me into school. And for me, it was kind of the start of understanding that I was lucky enough to have people that would help me due to my personality. But I always said to myself, when I got into the position of understanding finance and money, who's going to be my Mr. Barry? Who's going to be, do you know what I mean, for the next generation?
Sure.
And so I was like, I'm gonna make sure that the skills that I learn, I give back to my community. It's not just for me to make money. It's not just for me to feed my family. It's for me to give back to my community, and that's why I do what I do.
I love that. Incredible. And so you then went off to getting a job in the city.
Yes.
As a cashier.
Yes.
Okay. So tell us what that experience was like, and what did you learn from the bank that you obviously had not learned maybe in education?
Yes. So I got a job in Barclays. So I started off here, Marks and Spencer's in Canary Wharf. So I got to Canary Wharf, just Marks and Spencer's. So then I got a job as a cashier, and I was doing well, but I had a manager who kind of really mentored me and taught me about the importance of, using your personality in the right way. So I was the type of guy that used to get kicked out of class for making the class laugh. I remember my dad came to a parents' evening and the teacher called me the class entertainment system. And my dad didn't talk to me for a good few days. And so I was that type of person. But the person's here, Hakeem. Wave to everyone, Hakeem. There's Hakeem. So Hakeem Satar, he's there. So Hakeem could see my personality, and obviously he was young. So, he was only like 24, and he was the branch manager.
Sure.
And so it's mad to see someone in that position close to your age. So we got on really well. And he's the one that taught me about if you're on time, you're late. And he just pushed me to, don't just look at the brochures in the banking hall. Take them home. Like, what are you doing on the train? I'm like, playing Snake. What else is everyone... That's what you do on the train. He's like, put your phone in your pocket and read these pamphlets, read the books. And then he just taught me to use my personality, use the knowledge that I had. And then it got to the point where he was in the branch. Although I was the cashier, people used to queue for me. So, and those times, everyone used the bank. So the bank was busy, but people would wait like 20 minutes, half an hour just to be served by me because I used my skills and my personality in the right way. And then that led to me becoming the youngest financial advisor in Barclays at age 22 in the country. So,
love that.
Yeah.
And so on that point, you've become the youngest financial advisor in Barclays. Mm-hmm. Why did you decide to leave and start your own business? And what did your wife say?
Oh, Lord. So basically, Hakeem left Barclays. He went on to do stuff in South Africa. And sometimes when you're in an environment and you don't have your comfort blanket and your protection, sometimes, people can try you that wouldn't try you before. And obviously being so young, all my peers are mid-40s. Even the average financial advisor was like 55, and I'm 22. So, again, and then I'm the only black one there.
Yeah.
And then Hakeem isn't in Barclays anymore, so I didn't like it, so I moved. And sometimes the grass looks greener, but it's the same. It's a different job, but it's the same environment. It's the same things happening. And I just bounced around from different places, feeling like, my industry, I wasn't welcome. Do you know what I mean? Feeling like I'm here, I'm born in Tower Hamlets, Canary Wharf is in Tower Hamlets, but they don't want me in Canary Wharf. People like me don't belong in Canary Wharf. And so for me, it was about, okay, I've got this knowledge, I've got this wisdom, and basically we just had our 4th child, and it's in the book, we talk about it, it's in the book. We just had our 4th child, and I got made redundant. Literally, I went on paternity leave, came back after 2 weeks, and the company that I was with made us redundant. And I think I call it my not going back moment. I just felt like I'm not going to allow someone to ever put me in this position ever again. And so the redundancy payment plus my savings, and this is why I always tell people it's important to live to your costs and not allow your income to your cost to go with your income, because when that income's gone, now
What
you're
are you gonna
finished.
do?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. So luckily my costs were low, so we were able to, I knew I had enough money for 9 months, and I just said I'm just gonna give it all to my business, and I'm gonna make sure that nobody can make me redundant. And I realized that actually I might be in an environment that I'm not appreciated, but I can find people who can appreciate what I can bring to the table. Sometimes we are pushing ourselves into spaces where we're not wanted, and there are spaces where we're wanted and we're not there.
We're not there.
And so for me, it was like there were enough spaces out there that wanted me and needed my skills, and so that's why I decided to create my business.
So talk to us about the E-Man effect. How did we get there?
So the E-Man effect. So basically, the E-Man effect came from I was doing these things on social media. So basically, I started on social media very politely. This is a pension. This is an ISA. You need to get this. Nobody cared.
And then,
Nobody cared. I used to get like 7 likes. 5 of them live in my house. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, no. This is not it. So I basically got angry one day, and literally said,
what you were thinking.
Let me talk to the people, because you're trying to ignore my thing. So I basically went online and started telling people about their lives. Do you know what I mean? And the fact that you got a nice car, but you live in your mum's house, and you share a bed with your little brother, and he pees the bed. You know what I mean? And you have to go back to that. Do you know what I mean?
Gritty, yeah.
Gritty, like but you're popping bottles of champagne, knowing that you're going back to wee bed when you get home.
Wow.
So when I've now had these conversations online, and it's spread, it's got into people's
People start
heads.
to take note.
They started to take note.
Yeah.
And so what happened is that my company was called Noir Excel at that time. And so what happened was people would message me and be like, Emmanuel, I was at the shop and I was going to buy something, and then I heard your voice and then I put it back down. And that's the E-Man effect. And I had about 7 people say this to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to change my name. Change the name of my company to the E-Man effect, because they're having an effect. And so that's why it's called what it's called.
I love that. So, of course, I've mentioned the fact that we met back in 2019 on Save Well, Spend Better. And obviously you've gone from strength to strength. But was TV always in the plan?
TV was never in the plan.
Okay.
Never in the plan at all. I think, for me, it was just about out working. I was like, I worked so hard when somebody gave me a job. I was like, if I can work that hard for them, how hard can I work for me? Do you know what I mean? What hours can I put in for me? What can I do to make sure that I can support my life and the life of my kids and what I want for them? And so that was the plan. And then it just stood out because I was being my authentic self. I always tell people when I started at Barclays, again, like I said, Hakeem weren't around. So because he wasn't around, I started copying the people around me. And so I used to watch this show called Made in Chelsea. And I used to try to copy their voices.
Okay.
And I used to also try and pretend like the places that they're going, that's where I was going. So I'll be talking to clients. I'm like, yeah, we were just at the. I've never been there in my life. And they'll be like, yes, ha 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 ha. And I'm like, excellent. Whatever gets the sign up. You know what I mean? We got bills to pay. So, but once I was on social media, I could be my authentic self. And so what happened was being my authentic self stood out. Because no one's talking finance in the way that I'm talking about it.
Absolutely.
And I think the first person, my agent Sam, wave to people. So when you see me on the television, if you see me on the television, everyone says, I see you everywhere. That's Sam. That's my agent. She's the one in rooms talking for me and shouting my name, and she believed in me from the show. So I met Anna Williamson also on the show, my lovely sister Anna. She introduced me to Sam, is Anna's agent, and she introduced me, and then from the show, she took me on, and I had nothing. I mean, we used to talk at least once a week, and you'd be like, so when you're doing a book, and I'm like, Bianca, behave yourself. I can't write. Like, I can't. And she's like, I don't want to hear it. When are you writing a book? When are you writing a book? You need to write a book. To the point where you're like, I've got you a meeting with a book agent at Penguin, which is obviously the biggest book agent. So you guys had a book deal with Penguin. You're like, I've spoken to them about you, and I've got you a meeting. And this is the power of networking and the people that you're around. Sometimes people will push you into situations out of your comfort zone because you're connected. Do you know what I mean? If we just did the show and I was like, high five, nice meeting you. And like, do you know what I mean? We might not be on this stage today. But you pushed me to speak to them and spoke to them. But it didn't work out. Like, they didn't like the idea. It didn't work out. But I carried on with the content. And then I get a message from this lovely young white man called Oscar. And I'm thinking, what's this? You know, you get the random messages on, who's this Oscar guy? Like, Oscar, just wave to the people, act like you're not here. So Oscar is my book agent. And Oscar was like, I love your content. Oscar's from South East London, so he gets the lingo. Do you know what I mean? Because at first, when I saw Oscar, I was like, do you even know what I'm saying? Do you know what I mean? Because I'm talking slang all day long. Do you know what I mean? He was like, I'm from South East London. I understand perfectly. And so we had this conversation. He's like, I love your content. I love what you do. And I want to get you a book deal. And I'm like, okay, I've tried. And so he's like, who do you speak at Penguin? He's like, I know who you spoke to at Penguin. And basically, between me and Oscar, we was like, okay, we're going to do this. And then I was like, okay, how am I going to write the proposal? Because you got to write a proposal. And so luckily, I have a good friend who's a financial content creator as well, Mr. Money Jar, Timmy. Timmy, wave to the people. So Timmy, we met years ago, and Timmy was just like, I like what you do on social media. We should keep in touch. You know, like one of those ones. You just literally, you should keep in touch. Came down to the office, because I had an office in this building. Came down to this building. We had a meeting. I was like, I love this guy. We've got to keep in contact. And we just always kept in contact. And so when the opportunity came to like write the proposal, I was like, Timmy, can you help me? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. And so we basically, I'd send him voice notes, and Timmy would just create my words and write it down for me and make it all into good English and use more than and was and went and by and thank you. Like, you know what I mean? You know them basic work, like, he added a little vocabulary. Yeah. You know what I mean? So Timmy done that, and so then we done the proposal. And basically because of your link, so basically, HarperCollins was interested, and then because of your link at Penguin, we leveraged the fact that Penguin were interested, and HarperCollins knew that Penguin was interested, and we got a better deal off the back of it. And again, that's the fact that if I didn't have that and that was the only offer I had, I would have had to take what they gave me. But we can bluff, and it worked. And
negotiation and leverage, right? This is that's what making more money is all about.
Exactly. So we leveraged it, and we got the deal.
Amazing. And what does it mean to you to be a published author?
You know what? It means a lot. I don't even want to get emotional because
it's okay. It's your book launch. You're allowed.
It means a lot. It means a lot because, oh Lord.
I didn't bring any tissues.
No,
Is anyone on tissue alert?
Good.
You're good. Okay.
Trying to breathe.
All right.
No, it means a lot because you gotta understand. Even the crying is not sad; it's tears of joy because I've had too many tears of pain. Like people see me and they think, I'm always happy, but there's a lot of rejection on this road. Like, there's a lot of no's. There's a lot of people that will make you feel like you're not good enough. And I spent so long battling myself. Sometimes your worst enemy is you. So many times in my head telling me, like, it's not possible, bro. You can't write. You're not good at writing. And, I just learned on this journey that you can't focus on your weaknesses. Like, actually, you focus on what you do good, and you can pay people to help you with the things that you're weak at.
Absolutely.
And it was a big lesson for me. But, like... But like growing up around here, like I spoke to Mr. Barry, and he's like, I'm his first student in however many years to write a book, and it's just like coming from where we come from. Like when I meet most of the people that I grew up with, they're not even anywhere close to this type. It's not even in their mind frame. Yeah. Like we talk about dreaming big, but some of us where we come from, dreaming big is just trying to be alive. Do you know what I mean? Just trying not to go down the wrong path because it just feels like everybody's there. So to be here today and say there's a book with my name on it, and you can go on Amazon, like the biggest trading platform, and you can put the name in and the book comes out, and I've got my kids here and my beautiful wife and my family, and it's just like
you have a chapter where you talk about financial education, and I think more specifically, and it's something we've spoken about before, you and I, about the lack of financial education in schools.
Yeah.
And you talk about it in that chapter, why it's not taught in schools or why there isn't a focus. Why do you think that is? I mean, we've been speaking about it, so that means it must be happening in other rooms. Why do you think that it's not spoken about?
I think a lot of people are winning from people's bad financial decisions. I think there's a lot of people making a lot of money from people making bad financial decisions. And I got my my Uncle Moyo and my Uncle Eddie. I don't know if where are they? Are they here somewhere? They're here.
There you go, the back,
They're there. Yeah, there.
Yeah.
So I always tell this story. So my uncle Mayo, he's a big musician, and my uncle Eddie's a producer. And when I got my job at Barclays, at Marks and Spencer's, obviously the first thing you do with your check is buy bling, because what else would you?
Of course.
Would you do? So I bought like we call it a chaps.
Chops.
So you know, chaps. One big thing on the wrist. You know what I mean? I had a chain, and then I had an E pendant with E. The E was diamonds.
Oh yeah.
Pendant,
Yeah.
just so people could know my name. You know what I mean? Just in case you didn't know my name. And then I bought Machino. You know Machino, when the writing was all over. I went to church, because obviously where else am I gonna go? Where else am I gonna go? Like, when you're Christian, you know the only place you can stunt is in church. You're not allowed in the club. You know what I mean? So the church is your rave. You know what I mean? So I've gone to church and I've walked in, and Uncle Mayo has looked at me and he said, He said, let's go outside. Straight, church is he's just finished doing praise and worship. He literally come off the stage, saw me like, let's go outside. And we went outside and he's just like, no, this can't happen. This isn't, you can't do this. Like, you just got your first check and this is what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, do you understand your value, your worth? Your worth is the same. Not the clothes don't make you more valuable. The things don't make you more valuable. And he was like, you need to, he's Afghan, so he was like, yeah, you need to work with your dad and be giving your dad a portion of your money. I'll never forget when he said this. This was like a foreign language. Give my dad my money. So he's like, yeah, we share it, like, have an accountability partner, And it was just foreign to me. He's like, listen, your Uncle Eddie's going to get you to read some books. And he's like, okay, cool. So the next Sunday, so obviously, I've gone still spending like a mad guy. The next Sunday I'll come to church, and Uncle Eddie's come to me and he's like, look, let's go outside. He's like, I want you to read 2 books. The Richest Man in Babylon, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I read that at 18 years old, when most of my peers probably read that in their 30s. I read that at 18 years old. And today, that's why I'm here. I read that book and it made me realize, okay, cool, this is how money works. And for them to make me read a book, and today they're coming to my book.
Launch. Love that. Yeah. That's what I feel like. There's so many full circle moments in this journey that we call life, right? And I think right now in the media and so on, the focus is always on the cost of living crisis.
Of course.
Right? It's on the lack of money. How do you feel that this book will help people to overcome those challenges? Yeah,
I think for me the book is a guide. So the thing about this book is it's not just a book for you to read from cover to cover. The book is a guide. So I've basically broken down the kind of money journey that people are on, all the way from how did the actual financial system we have today, how was it created? How did we get to it? You know, when I say fiat, people think 500, but, read the book, you're going to understand that joke. And so all the way to, philanthropy, which is the real, like, people think you're balling if you got a mansion. But real people that make real money, they give it away. That's when you get to that level where you can just say, look, name a building after me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want a statue. Do you know what I mean? That's when you're really doing bits. Do you know what I mean? And so I explain the journey of money. And so for me, this book is a way for people to be able to come back to it. Understand abundance. Like, remember, we were taught money don't grow on trees. Anyone heard that one? You know what I mean? But actually, when you understand that you don't have to wait till a payday, like getting paid 12 times out of 365 days. If you got 12 out of 365, even me, if I got 12 out of 365, my mum will ship me back to Nigeria.
Even now at your big age.
At my big age today, do you understand? So imagine, like, actually, for a lot of us, that's what we're doing, but actually, you can get paid every single day if you find a way. And so for me, that's the solution, and I teach people how to do that through the book.
I love that. And when in reading the book, I noticed that every chapter has a new story.
Yes.
Or it has a teachable lesson. What is your favourite story?
My favourite...
Not to give away too much of the story, but give us your...
No. My favourite story is Babatunde, man. Do
you know what? I was going to bring that one up. That was my favourite story too.
Babatunde, because we all know about Babatunde. He's earning a decent amount of money, but his friends earn a lot more than him. And so, when you got bad friends, they will just be they know what you're on, but they'll feel like, let's share. Their split and your split is not the same split. You can't split like they can split. Do you know what I mean? And so he goes on this trip to Dubai, and they're buying stuff, and they're doing, and he's just watching, like, beautiful women drink his money with champagne and bottles.
So I got instruction from your wife to fix your collar.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. I didn't want to get in trouble. She was
You didn't
giving me
want to
the
come and do it
eyes.
yourself.
No, she was like, fix his
You didn't want my heart rate to go too much. I understand.
Want to hear it through the microphone, you know?
But yeah, it's about the fact that for a lot of us, we are doing stuff for our friendship groups or for social media, and actually we're not living true to ourselves. And so for me, that story about Babatunde, because he ends up getting himself into a lot of debt, and so while his friends have finished and they're enjoying, he's still paying for that holiday years later.
Yeah.
Because he did it on a credit card. And so for me, it's about learning that lesson. And so from the stories in the book are relatable. They're humorous. They're easy to understand. And it's about, okay, I'm not just going to say all the stuff that you've never heard and then go on. It's actually, I'll say all the stuff that you might not have heard. And here's a story to make sure you understand it and you can then apply it. Because that's the thing that I think is missing even for me when I was going through education, was learn this and learn that. But one thing I always learn, and Mr. Barry's the best at it, I learned it from him in PE, is understand how do you apply it. I failed science, but I smashed PE. Think about it. Yeah. Shouldn't really happen. And it comes down to actually how do you apply it. And so for me, I want this book to be as practical as possible.
And those relatable stories,
Exactly.
right? So what I found interesting about the Babatunde story and that chapter 10, was you made quite a negative, message about Dubai twice. And I just want to understand what it is you have against Dubai. That's my main concern at this stage.
To be honest, you are buying a part of my problem.
Yeah, no, I felt
Dubai,
like you were sending me daggers in the book.
You lot be showing Dubai every day, and people be watching you and looking up to you, but they can look, but they can't touch. I don't know why they think because they see you there, they can now afford it. They're not doing what you're doing. But for me, I just feel like people act like, again, Dubai is one in the top 10 expensive holidays. Dubai is like number 7 in the top 10. So you have to think to yourself, this is not, you're not going to Brighton. Like, Dubai is expensive, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it needs to make sense. But for some of us, just for the social media clout, we are now in Dubai. And people have seen my Dubai posts anyway. You've seen with the man them, 5 man in one room, you know. But they're out here stunting like they're doing, some are sleeping on the floor. Man are hugging taking turns in the bed.
Tops and tails.
At your big age, foot in your face. So it's just not needed.
You know, one of the quotes that I really liked in that chapter was, I can help you live the life you're pretending to live on Instagram. You just need to listen.
Come on.
Why don't people listen?
Oh, you know what? Sometimes it's easier because you're following what other people are doing, right? So if you don't know any better, what are you going to do? Like sometimes, I meet people and they're like, oh, I wish my parents taught me this. But at the end of the day, your parents can only teach you what they know. They can't teach you what they don't know. And that's the same thing. If you're in a certain environment, you can only learn what you know in that environment.
Sure. But
for me, it's about actually trying to get people to think outside of their environment, outside of the things that they know or they've been taught is correct, and think about what can they do different. And so that's why I hope, and I think also showing my life. I think people have seen me go from Noir Excel 100 followers to now being on their, like they press their right, E-man. And it's like, okay, it's possible. Like he's not just saying it, he's doing it. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's important.
So we've seen in recent headlines about the black community having a lack of savings or assets to pass down. Why do you think that is, and can that be changed?
Why do I think it is? I think it is mainly down to, I think, the things that we prioritize, right? So I always talk about my neighbour. I live in Bromley, and so before we bought the house that we're in now, my previous neighbour, she had the worst car. She used to want to drop me to the station. I'd be like, I'm going to walk. The one banged out Polo. I was like, big me. I'd rather walk and sweat. I'm all right. I'm not getting in the car. And so, but her house was worth, they'd done an extension and back end of top, but it was like 1.2 million. Right. And so for me, I could see that for her, they dress, even the way they dress, normal, like, it's very, very basic, very basic. And that's because they understand the things that are valuable. But for us, I feel like a lot of the time in our community, because we don't have, we feel that we must show that we're not one of the, like back in the day, there were the ones in the field and the ones in the house. Yeah. And people used to be proud to be the ones in the house. I feel like that mentality still exists today. We're walking around saying, oh, I've got a Gucci bag though. Oh, but I live here, or I do this. But actually, you're still a slave. You know what I mean? You're still stuck in that, and a lot of us are leaving clothes and bags to our kids after you've been on this planet 50, 60, 70 years. All you've got is Gucci belt. So, and we don't even know if it's real these days. It's a whole new market. So for me, it's about It's about us understanding that, you know, we're already valuable.
Yeah.
And that we don't need to, like, I remember when I watched Dr. Umar Johnson talking, he was saying about how in America, the number one buyers of Mercedes-Benz are black people, but they're not the number one makers of money. And so what happens is when you don't have, you surround yourself with things that look like you have. And so we have to come back to a place of understanding what we have and where we're at. And then also I think it's that we don't work together. We very much are an island. And so when you are an island, it takes you longer to get there, like we're seeing with Brexit. Yeah, we're all experiencing it now.
Yeah.
And so what happens is right now is that I grew up in Tower Hamlets. It's a mainly Asian community. A lot of them are buying houses 3 at a time, and they feel no way because they're happy to own 33%.
Yeah.
For us, we want to have 100% of nothing. Yeah. So what happens is that we continue to wait until we get 100%, and 10 years later, we still have 100% of nothing. Whereas those 3 in those 10 years have probably bought a house each year because they're doing it together.
Sure.
And so for me, that's the changes that we need to understand and changes that we need to make.
And I have 2 questions on the back of that. So the first one is, in the book, you have a quote that I thought really stood out for me, which was, "Find a way to enjoy being broke." And I would love you to just discuss a little bit about how does one get to that point?
Yeah, because you know what?
Or the necessity, I guess.
You have to understand that you might be broke in the physical, but I'm not broke in the mind. Do you understand? Wealth starts in your mind. And you see, what happens is that we are trying to look like we're wealthy by buying all these things. But the reality is that we may look wealthy and our friends might pat us on the back and, big guy, you know, we love all that the big bosses into like. But you know, when you get home, you're struggling. Come and take bus, you're like, can I afford it? Like, but you're out here popping bottles on the weekend. And so for me, it's really important that you understand that you can be broke. Like now, I can be in a broke position, but I'm not broke in my mind. I'm wealthy in my mind because I know the reason I know what I'm doing, just like when you plant a seed. So, because again, this is what we want to do. We want to see instant. But actually, when you plant a seed, it takes time for it to grow, right? But you know you've planted it. You know you're looking after it. You know you're nurturing it. So one day, it's going to grow. And that's what we need to start doing with our finances and building wealth. We need to start planting the seeds, making the sacrifices, and know that one day that wealth will grow.
And of course, as a father of 4, family man, generational wealth, I assume, is very important to you. But what does it mean to you?
Oh, it means a lot. It means a lot because I know my parents worked so hard. I always tell the story. My mum, you know, she even today she got metal in her knee. Do you know what I mean? And you'll see she walks with a limp, and she's walked with that limp for years. And she used to wake up in pain, and she was a dinner lady at that time. And she would wake up and go, and I'd see her just hobbling to work with a smile. You know why she was smiling? Because she knew she was looking after her family. She was like, I'm going to be in this pain for you. I love that woman. So, and I used to tell myself, like, I remember me and my mum used to have talks, and I used to tell my mum used to tell me I was her pension. I didn't even know what a pension was. And she used to tell me, you're my pension. I was like, I don't even know what this is. But I found out later what she was talking about. And I used to tell my mum, like, you're not going to regret your investment in me. Like, your investment in me is not, whether I get the grades or I don't get, your investment in me is not going to go amiss.
Not in vain,
It's not in vain. And like now I've been able to, you know, retire my mum and give her money on a regular basis so she don't have to worry and it's funny because every time I do it, she sends me this long prayer. Thank you. I'm like, it's okay. I got the same prayer last month. It's all right. We're all right. But she's appreciative. I get it. And it's like now, like I look at now I've got 4 kids, and you know, I didn't realize the privilege I had of having a dad. Do you know what I mean? In my house. Like sometimes we take dads for granted. They just, you know, they pay those bills and you just don't, the light is on, you just know it's on. You open the tap, you don't think,
comes out.
You know, dad is paying the majority of these bills. And the reason that he's not here, or the reason he can't come to your sports day, I was really good at sports. The reason he couldn't come.
I can see that. You've mentioned it a few times.
No, the reason he couldn't come was he was providing.
Yeah.
And so now I see the sacrifices that I have to make for my kids. And, you know, my dad gives me regular advice. And for me, like, you know, there's that saying that, you know, Jazz always says, and I love it. It's like, you know, you might not come from a wealthy person, but make sure a wealthy person comes from you. And I feel like it's so important that actually, you know what, even though they weren't wealthy, they gave me the most amount of riches in love, in shelter, in support, in encouragement. And so now I've been able to translate that into wealth. We thank God, Jesus. And so now I'm going to give that to my kids, and they're going to be able to use that, and they're going to not have to see some of the things. Like some of us, we grew up way too quick. We saw things that listen, things that are in movies we were seeing in real life. It wasn't a joke. Like we weren't supposed to see it. We were in environments that we weren't supposed to be in. We were little kids and we were hanging around big men that we should have been hanging around thinking that we were cool. And we were seeing things that we shouldn't see. And so for me, to be able to make sure that they don't know that life, they're not going to experience that life. And in fact, I'm teaching them the skills so that they can build that. So not just take what I've given to them, but build on it for those generations. To me, that's everything.
Yeah, I love that. So you said in the introduction of the book that it's taken you 15 years in the industry to feel like the industry respects you.
Yeah.
Right? How does it feel now to have big names like Sky, like ITV, like Channel 4, calling on you on a regular basis, asking for your opinion?
It's all right. You know
wow,
what?
Okay.
You know what? You know
Moving
what?
on to the next question.
No. You know what? You know what? You know what it is? You know what it is that I always had this scripture. My big brother Victor, I don't think Victor's here, but he gave us a scripture when we were young at school, and it's Acts 20:24. And it basically says, none of these things move me, nor do I count my life dear to myself, that I may finish this race with joy and the testimony of the Lord Jesus to testify about God's wonderful kindness and love. And the biggest thing that I always held was, none of these things move me. Like, whether they know me or they don't know me, it doesn't move me. Like, I'm still me. Because today they will call you, tomorrow there's somebody else and they're on to another thing.
Yeah.
So for me, none of them move me because I know that I'm doing my purpose. I know I'm doing what God put me on this earth to do. So that's my focus.
So let's talk about the book, right? I'm a big advocate that whenever a friend of mine publishes a new book, I buy 3 copies straight away. You know this, that's what we did. Thank you very much, I hope so.
Bless you.
But I want you to tell the audience who this book is for and why they should buy it for themselves and 2 friends.
Good one. I think, who is it for? It's for everyone. It's for everyone. Anyone, no matter what stage you are, whether you're struggling in debt, there's a chapter there on how you can get out of it and how you can use it in the future and leverage it. Whether you want to get on the property ladder, whether you want to start investing, whether you're thinking about what is this pension thing, how does it work, whether you're thinking about mindset, how to get a promotion at work. There are so many different chapters for wherever you're at on this, and these are all things that I've either learned through myself or learned through clients. And I'm just putting it in a book because I get asked the same questions over and over again, and now I can just say, read the book. Just read that, because when I give you my bill, you don't want to pay. So just pay $16.99 and get that one, and it will answer your questions. But for me, it's about empowering. We talk about, where am I going to go? Because there are so many finance books out there, and they're amazing. But for me, I knew I wrote this for people that know where we've come from, know that they just want to talk it in plain English. They don't want all of the jargon. They don't want the big words. They just want to talk it relatable. You can get the audio book if you want to and just listen to me talk the whole way through. I can talk you to sleep. And it's like, it's there. I wanted to make it available because I know when I came to Canary Wharf, it wasn't for me. And I remember that I was speaking to Oscar the other day, and I was just like, we've created something now that's for us. For us, like, that exists, that you don't have to go and try and pretend like I did that you're from Chelsea or you're in Kensington or whatever. You can find a book that is spoken in a way for you, in a way that you can understand it and empower yourself, not just yourself, but then go on and teach those lessons to your children, your parents, the people around you. And the more that we do that, the more we're empowered. Because listen, we can march. I love a march. Do you know what I mean? I love just spudding my brethren out there, and you know what I mean? I love a march. But until we get some ownership, we can march all day. It doesn't make a difference. And for me, this book is about teaching you how to get ownership so that we can actually have a say.
Strong. I'm going to open to the floor to allow you guys to ask some questions in a second. So I'm just going to ask the final question. I'm going to open it to you, so please be prepared with your question. So the final question is, what are your top tips for getting your money right?
Good question. I think my top tips is know your why. Like, I'm here today because I knew my why. I knew I wanted to change my mum's life. I know what I want to do for my wife and my kids. And that's what keeps me going. I know my why, so I know the sacrifices I need to make. So it's important to know your why. I think then it's about having a plan. Like have actual goals for yourself. But don't just think them, write them down. Even if better, if you can touch them. Like me, I've gone to visit, 10-bedroom houses because I'm going to get there. Do you know what I mean? I've gone to test drive nice cars because I'm going to get there. Do you understand? Sometimes we got to put ourselves in those positions. My sister Nikki, the other day, we was in Vegas. We was in Vegas, and there's this one hotel. What was the hotel? Caesars Hotel. So we was in Caesars Hotel. So she was like, I'm gonna stay here one day. So she went there to the desk and took a picture of her speaking to somebody at the desk. Mm-hmm. And she's like, now that's on my vision board. It's already happened. Yeah. Do you understand? And it's like, these are the types of people that I'm around. Like my sister Nikki, she's always making me think outside the box. And I think that's the second part, is who's holding you accountable. Like today, like before I've even come here, Nikki called me. She's like, you haven't left yet. I'm like, nah. She's like, have you got 2 minutes? I'm like, yeah. What do you want to say? Let's pray. Nikki was almost speaking in tongues. He was there 5 minutes. I said, wow. Almost sweating, just in the prayer. I have to go and shower again after the prayer. My goodness, she was speaking tongues. I said, wow, this was powerful. But who is holding you accountable to your goals? Who is holding you accountable to your dreams? Because sometimes we're trying to be an island, and you need to surround yourself with those people. Obviously, the network is important, but then also understand your worth and your value. And for me, the biggest thing I always tell people is understand that you're not chasing money, you're chasing value. If you can create value, money will follow. And I think sometimes we've been taught so much about money and getting money, and that's how we learn it. We get money and then we give money away. But actually, if you can create value, money will always follow it. If you can add value to someone's life, they'll pay you for the value you can add. So what you really need to work on is how can I create value, and then money is just comes after that. Yeah.
Amazing, incredible. So I'll now open to the floor. Does anyone have a question? If you can wave your hand. We've got 2 people, I think, with mics, so just put it's a gentleman just here, over here.
Pick up yourself, Emmanuel, man. You know you're a role model to me anyway, so well done on the book. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You touched on it earlier on when you were speaking about your kids.
Yeah.
And I'm keen to know yourself and your wife, what your approach is to the money you've acquired and how you handle their journey through working. Do you take the more Shaq approach, which is the case of, no, we're not rich, I'm rich. You have to own your own, you have to find your own way? Or are you more the Damon Dash approach, which is like, no, the whole point of me working this hard is so that I can give my kids that head start and that kind of forward step. Yeah. What's your and your wife's approach into ensuring that they are as hungry in that journey as you were and are?
I'm glad you finished. Thank you, Joe. I'm glad you finished that question. When you said, what's your approach? I was going to say, no contraception, as that's why we got 4 kids. I thought that was what you was going to... I thought that's what you was asking. But it's okay. I got you now. You said you ain't got kids. I thought you was asking how. Sorry, I'm glad you finished. It's just enjoyment in my house. You just enjoyment and leave it to God. That's how we work. In regards to my kids, I think it's a bit of both. I think definitely, like, they have to understand that they're not rich. No, these kids will be rude, They'll be rude in the public, talking to people like they've done anything in life. You've done nothing but be born, okay? Just chill out. So I think there is them understanding that, actually, daddy works hard for this. And I think the thing for me is that we talk about money in my house. When we was buying the house that we live in now, I told them, we're buying a house. Everybody was on a budget. They knew. They were like, oh, can we go McDonald's? Oh, no, daddy's buying a house. We're buying a house. No McDonald's. There's McDonald's at home. They know. Their mum would just be making those fake burgers. You lot know about the McDonald's at home. So for me, it's about including them in the conversation and making it, but also empowering them. So if my kids have an idea and they want to do something, I'm on it. Like, I'm on to push them and help them drive. And, that's why we've got the resources. I want them to experience business as early as possible. We get them to help their mum makes cakes, and they help their mum make cakes, and, they can sell it to their friends. And all of these types of stuff is about trying to get them to understand value and money and so forth, but also understand no. Do you know what I mean? Because if you always give them yes, when they go to that real world, they'll understand. Do you know what I mean? I took a lot of no's. And obviously now it's great to give them the comfortability, but they have to understand that there's a barrier. They just can't, it's not unlimited for them. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's a bit of both. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jordan. Who else got a question? Please wave your hand. Excellent. There's a lady just over here. So it's just one lady in the grey top just here. And then the lady at the front afterwards, please.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How do you persevere having a family? Because oftentimes it's very easy, not easy, but it's easier to do things alone. But for example, I have my husband, I have my daughter, and they are my why. But how do you keep, that tunnel of vision to keep you going when the path gets lonely as an entrepreneur?
It's a good question. I think you have to trust your partner. I think, if I'm being honest, like we're here today and, everything is rock, but it's very difficult. When I left the bank, I tell people the first 3 or 4 years, I could have made more money employed than I was making self-employed. And you told that to a Nigerian woman. She's looking at you like, go and get a job. You just keep impregnating me. Go and get all these kids. Who's paying for them? Do you know what I mean? And so it's it can be difficult, but, I think what really helped us was the lockdown. And actually, my wife does cakes, so because the lockdown happened, she couldn't do cakes anymore. So then I brought her into my business. And then she could get an understanding of exactly what it is I was doing. She thought I'd just come to Canary Wharf to have fun every day. And, but she could actually see the emails and what we do and appreciate what I do. But then also I was working from home. Lord, those kids are a lot. Do you know what I mean? And I think sometimes you come home in the evening when they're a bit more cool, and it's all, Daddy. In the morning, it's a different story, you know what I mean? Throughout the day, it's a different story. And I think that's stuff that I've learned on the way. So I think it's about having a balance of both. Like now, my wife still helps and works in the business, but we understand the roles that we play and what we do. But we also are flexible. So do you know what I mean? Sometimes she's doing a cake, I'll be her Jeffrey and drive her to her cake, and if it's far and so forth, it's not a problem. I feel like there's nothing we can't support each other on and do. And I think that was a big lesson, especially once, TV and stuff like that. Okay, she's now sacrificed for me to live my dream. I now need to sacrifice to make sure she's living hers. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes you can be where you want to be in life, but that doesn't automatically mean your partner is where they want to be. And so I had to now step back and say, what do you want? Where are the things that you want? What can I do to support what you want in life? And I think when you have that combination and that partnership, it really helps.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Question just here at the front.
Yeah. Hello, Uncle.
Yes.
First and foremost, congratulations.
Thank you.
How does it feel to be God's favorite? Just hearing your story is so inspirational. And just I just wanted to share, you're so amazing and you're so global that now aunties from back home are using your content to harass us here. Yeah? I'm minding my own business, cost of living crisis. Videos are now, look at this young man, why are you not like him? Anyway, that's not my question. So
I'm sorry,
I think for me is what really resonates for me is you have such strong faith, such strong faith in God. So I think for me, what scriptures do you turn to? What is the prayer that got you here?
Wow.
I have my notepad here, so I'm going to take...
Funny. You know what it is? I would say it's not even my prayer. It's the prayer of my parents. Yeah. Because what happens is that we're not always, especially when you're raised in the church, I was my dad, 5 a.m. every morning, this man is awake, doing prayer and devotion. Every morning, without fail. And I remember I used to go to the club, when you think you're a bad boy, and you're making money, and I'll go to the club, and you'll come back at 1 o'clock in the morning, and these parents are praying for you. God help him. God help him see the errors of his ways. Do you know what I mean? Do you know, at 1 in the morning, they're praying for you, they're going hard while you're out there. The protection. I've been places, man have been shot, man have been stabbed. It never touched me. It's not me. It's not the prayers that I'm praying. It's the prayers of my parents for their child and the fact that they were able to really show me that example and really be there for me in those hard times and make sure that when I go left, but also about Sunday school. My friends from Sunday school are still my brethren today. We still talk, and I think it was really important for me because when I had friends that maybe don't go to church, in the workplace or wherever it may be, I always still had those friends that we grew up from Sunday school together, so they could tell me, man, you're doing wrong. Do you know what I mean? This ain't us. This ain't what we're about. And I think it's also about who are you surrounding yourself with? Who are your uncles? I remember Uncle Moyo, one time, 11 o'clock at night, I'm walking to the club. I'm walking to the club at 11. When we should be going home at this time. I'm going to a club. And I just hear my phone alert. And Uncle Moyo are telling me, I can see you. I said, wow. I said, wow. Do you know, I can see you. Behave yourself. And obviously I was with a girl, and so I just quickly let her go. You know? I didn't know where Uncle was, but you could see. So I'm just, do you know what I mean? And it's having that around you. Do you know what I mean? When things get hard, that it's not just you. Like, it takes a village to raise a child, and I'm living proof that it takes a village to raise a child.
Thank you so much. The questions, lots of questions on this side. This lady here first. There's one at the front.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think I call you Honku Iman.
Yes.
With a H in the uncle. Because I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I would open my Instagram and his words would hit my chest. What did I do? So I constantly feel judged by you, but it's okay. My precious.
That's the plan. That's the plan.
So congratulations. But there's a thought that keeps coming up in my mind. We've talked a lot about collectively building wealth.
Yeah.
Which is not a norm yet in the African community or the Black community, so to speak. What are your thoughts? Because we can keep talking about it. We've seen evidence of other communities building wealth together. What is the one or two things you feel like all of us here could take away? Because there is enough evidence that building wealth together is the way forward. But we've all been burned, trust issues, our parents said what. We've given pastors money and he didn't come back. So you tell us.
Yeah, facts.
What you think we can do practically.
It's happened.
Thank
It's
you.
happened. You didn't have to say it, but it has happened. But yeah, no, you know what it is I think it's we have to start holding ourselves to a standard. You know, I think sometimes when I personally, especially when I'm working with people from my community, I hold my service, my business to a standard. And I say to myself, I don't want them to say, oh, if I had gone to another community, I could have got this better. And I think sometimes we do stuff and we don't hold ourselves to a standard, one. Two, we need to stop following trends. Like, actually, who are we getting our advice from? Because somebody stood next to a car, doesn't mean they own it. Because somebody is holding keys, does that mean that the keys are to the house there? We need to use critical thinking. They didn't, we're not questioning what we're seeing. Do you know what I mean? And so for me, and then also we need to also be intentional, yeah? Because I remember coming from the environments I come from. I remember when I now moved out and so forth. I remember sometimes being afraid. Like, I see some young black youths and I'll be like, is this going to be a problem? And I had to check myself and understand, am I allowing the media or the things I see to make me not believe in my own community? Why should I see a group of young black boys and be nervous? They should be nervous for me. I'm going there. Good morning, guys. How are you? Hey, do you understand what I'm trying to say? I've got to make them feel welcome. Why would I feel threatened by my own? It doesn't happen in other communities. But we've allowed a lot of these stigmas to come in. I'm telling you, you can talk about, people running off with there's Madoff. Madoff is not a black man. Bernie took loads of people's money. Do you know what I mean? We act like it's only our community that commit fraud. There are loads of frauds. There's expenses claims. I don't want to talk any... Yeah? And so what happens is that, I saw someone talk about the other day, how can we come from there, make a bit of money, and go back and now stunt or laugh at, take the mick out of it? We're taking the mick out of ourselves. Because that's where we come from. So I have to look at it and say to myself, if this is my community that I come from and things are going wrong, I can't wait for Rishi to help. This man, Rishi don't know about no cancer estate. He don't know about where you tell your kids to play, there's needles and broken glasses and half the swings don't work. He doesn't understand about if you go out at the wrong time, they're going to take your ball and take your bike. He don't know. He don't come from that. So I can't expect him to go back and teach that or stop that. That has to be on us. But also you have to understand sometimes, like in a plane, you got to put your mask on before you can help someone else. Because sometimes we're trying to help other people, we ain't helped ourselves. We're all just passing out. Nothing's getting done. Do you see what I'm saying? So make sure you've got your mask on and you're ready and you're in a position and then go back to help others.
Love that.
Good evening. Man, your shirt keeps tucking under your...
I know, my wife is going to be angry at me. I don't know what it is.
Thank you so much for your kind words, calling me uncle. There's some of your friends who you grew up with who told me where to go in the time. But a question for you. It seems to me now, quite a few people here may not know, but there are some of your brothers that you grew up with who are on the same trajectory as you. Tonade, who's at the back, is on TV. One of your cousins is on TV in America, on The Daily Show. They're the Bible Babes and on BET. And there are a number of them from the same environment you were in. And I wonder, now that you're more educated than before, do you have language to describe the environment that you grew up in that empowered you to be what you are? So we can look out for it, because we have children that we want to be like you.
Yeah.
And we want to know, how can I recognize the empowering environment so I don't waste my time with villages that don't work?
Yeah. Oh, great question.
Yeah.
It's a great question. So basically, we all come from the same church, and Uncle Mayowa. But remember, you guys created environments that we could succeed. So Uncle Mayowa created a thing called Stand, where basically we could invite all our friends and basically have a rave where everyone stands and we just enjoy. And that was the first time I ever hosted anything. He put a mic in my hand and said, "Go and host this event." I never hosted anything before. And I remember I was talking on the stage and I stopped and we went on to the next thing. He's like, "When you've got them like that, don't ever let it go." Like, and these are lessons that we've learned. And I think a lot of it has to do with those that are older than you creating spaces for you. And I think sometimes we're so focused on the grind, especially with the cost of living crisis. You are trying to just focus on your house. Just try and get your house in order and get through this hard time. That how much time are we spending volunteering to give back to those that are coming? I feel like, we've shown a lot of people, there's the Nelson Mandela, it always seems impossible till it's done. And we were running events. We had our own choir. We were rapping. Anything we wanted to do. We were doing it in church, and we were going to other churches and other places. And there was always someone there to drive a bus for us. There was always someone there to make sure. Do you understand? Like, that's the elders. Those are the people that create the environment. Do you know what I mean? And then we had a culture. We had a culture of respect. There were people in place and put in place out. So you had a youth leader. I think sometimes what happens now is that, we make a bit of money and we lose culture. Like, I'm on TV now. If I see someone's mum, I call them mum, I call them auntie. I understand my culture. I understand where I come from. There's no amount of money that will ever let me forget where I come from and not allow me to act in a certain way. And I feel like what's happened, especially with church going online, we haven't really got that anymore. We're taking influences from all over the place. And I think it's really important that we start to come together and create those hubs again. Not just for us, but for the next generation. Because they're looking and saying, who's making a way for me? Yeah. Who's opening the door for me? And, if we're just focusing on opening the door for us and our kids and our family, it doesn't happen.
Love that. Final question, just here at the back. Just wave your hand, please. Thank you.
Congrats, man.
Big title. What are you saying, my brother? Don't act like you're just in the back.
Let me ask one question.
Congrats, man.
Honestly,
every day.
Honestly, Iman's an inspiration to me, and I'm sure you're an inspiration to many people as well. So it's nice to have a friend who's got a book. You put it in the back of your Zoom call. So this is Iman, man. But yeah, a question from me. For all of us on our journeys, individually and collectively, to building wealth, and obviously you've been doing that for some time and you have a family, so it's good to get your perspective. How do you manage enjoying the process as well? Because I know that it's very tempting to save every penny you got, and saving can be quite strenuous, but how do you enjoy the journey? Because when you conquer one goal, there's always going to be the next goal, always going to be the next goal. How do you manage enjoying the journey on the way up?
Good. That's a very good question. For me personally, and I speak to Nikki about this all the time, we only do things that we enjoy. We only make money in places that we enjoy it. If I don't enjoy doing it, I don't want that money. Somebody else can make that money. I only work with people I enjoy working with. If I don't like you, I'm not going to work with you. And I'm at a place where I can do that. And not only that, but also it's about creating opportunities. So even Las Vegas, can you imagine me in Vegas? It's not my style. But we're doing a business venture. So let's go and meet the person that we're doing a business venture who's from America in America. Let's go make an opportunity out of it. The other day I was doing a talk in Birmingham. I said, Nikki, let's go. I said, what's your ticket? Oh, you know my ticket? I've got a split ticket. Anyone know about split ticket? So it's two tickets for the same train, different station. I'm trying to budget here. Nikki's got first class. I've said, well, we can't say separate. I've got to go into first class. I went into first class. I said, I've been missing. I'm not going back. Do you know? I didn't know this is what are doing on here. Okay, now I know. Listen, so sometimes you can create opportunities on the way. Like, Byron and Bianca, they're a perfect example. They love Dubai. They go and spend 6 months there, 6 months here. And then they create businesses over there. So while they're over there, they're not just doing enjoyment, they're making money. So it's about making sure along the journey you create ways to enjoy, but also the fact that, my kids are my wife, so I enjoy time with them. If they've got to play, I'm going to be there because, I understood my parents couldn't necessarily always be there, so I'm going to be there. If they've got a parents' day, I'm there. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm flexible. So it's also about what you enjoy. For me, though, it's about also balance. So understanding that, I said it on a video the other day, that although there's abundance, like also that you have to be content. There has to be a place of contentment. I say, okay, although there's so much money out there and there's so many opportunities out there, I understand that. But also, I need to be content with, I like my life. I like it. It's okay. Like, it's enough. Do you know what I mean? And so understand that. So for me, that's the balance. But yeah, definitely, if I'm not enjoying it, I understand there are seasons. Like there were times when I was at Barclays, I didn't enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? But I had to go through it. So there's not always going to be enjoyment. But for me, it's about, what am I doing it for? Because I enjoy what I'm doing it for. And so that's the difference.
So guys,
Paulette, sorry.
Yeah.
Paulette's my
Yes,
my mentor.
of
So
course.
if I don't let her speak,
Of course, we don't want that.
Thank you very much. I've sat here and I've listened to you, and I just want to say thank you so much, not only for writing the book, but by reminding us that by being your authentic self, you can succeed. And by being your authentic self, you can inspire others. And also, a lot of us, when we rise, we tend to take our feet off the ground and we float in the air. Yeah. But I think what you've demonstrated by just being so honest about your journey and about yourself is that we all need to keep it real. And when we succeed, we need to take our community with us. The good, the bad, the ugly, we need to take them with us. Because by doing that, other communities will give us the respect we deserve. And so I want to thank you very much for just being you. I haven't known you very long, but I sort of adopted you. Yeah. And now I know you have real children because they're always locked away when we're having our meetings on Zoom. So they are a real family. And really reinforcing the importance of family and also understanding the context from which our parents came. And they did what they could, and we need to be appreciative of it. So I'm behind you 100% of the way, and I think a lot of young people will benefit from what you've done, but could benefit more by you being who they can emulate in a very real way. So I want to thank you very much. I want to congratulate you for all your achievements and let you know there are a lot of us who will support you. And I know when I'm old, I'm in my rocking chair, I'll look at him and I say, oh God, I know him. So thank you so much.
Thank you. So I think also, like, that's Paulette, by the way, Paulette Simpson. She's the head of Jamaica National Bank, by the way, and The Voice newspaper. So, and for me, I remember, and this is about research. So I found Paulette on LinkedIn because I found her on LinkedIn. I was like, oh my goodness, she's in my industry, and she's a CEO of a bank. I never seen a CEO of a bank that looks like me, that comes. Do you know what I mean? I got to connect with her. And so we messaged, and she's like, I like you, I'll adopt you. And now, we talk regularly. She's always dropping gems. And a lot of the time, we maybe as young people, we think, the older lot are past it. But the stuff that I learn on our calls sometimes are meant to be 20 minutes, they end to 2 hours, mean that I can make steps so much quicker because I'm learning from somebody else's experience. Do you know what I mean? I'm learning through her experience, but also I know it's possible because she exists. So I know it's possible for me to get to those levels. And I think even when you're successful, who are you looking up to? Who is mentoring you? Who's encouraging you to be a better version of yourself? Sometimes we get a little success and we're gone. Even your mum can't talk to you no more. Do you know what I mean? And actually, no matter what level of success, there should always be someone that is holding you accountable, someone you're looking up to, someone that's pushing you to be a better version of yourself. So thank you, Paula.
So guys, I want to thank all of you for being here today for this phenomenal book launch. Iman, I want to thank you for asking me to be the host. I want to congratulate you again for your first book, first of many, I have no doubt. But before we let the audience go and eat some cake, because I understand there's cake here,
Yes.
Can they buy the book today? Here?
They can't, not here.
Not here, but where can they go to buy the books?
It's on Amazon, WH, obviously HarperCollins, before HarperCollins kill me. You can get it from HarperCollins' website. It's there. But yes, it's out there, it's available. You can get the audiobook as well. I spent 3 days reading this book for you guys in my own voice. My eyes was burning me. I already told you about my education, so this was hard. But we got it done to make sure that you had it in my voice. So yes.
Can I ask everyone, I think Amazon is a really good platform for books because it really helps enhance their performance. So can I ask for two things? Everyone okay with me asking for two things? Yes. The first thing is, can you go to Amazon and purchase a copy of the book? When I say a copy, I mean minimum one copy, but ideally 2 additional copies for a friend or family member. Because everyone could do with this book, right? And I genuinely believe that as friends of Emmanuel, we should be supporting him by buying multiple copies and then supporting our friends and family by sharing that knowledge. Because it's that knowledge that's going to help us to lift as a community. And I think we should all be doing that for anyone you know who has a book coming out, okay? So that's the first question and request. The second one is, once you've done that, can you please leave a 5-star review? I'll be honest, I don't care if you read it. I just need you to leave the 5-star review, okay? Again, this is really important and often not said by people who have been through this authoring journey, that those 5-star reviews are so impactful and make a huge difference to how that book succeeds and progresses. And so those are the 2 things. Can I ask you to just wave your hand if you agree to that commitment? Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you. And again, Emmanuel, congratulations. I know Emmanuel's going to be signing some books today. Yes. So where will you be signing, sir?
So we're gonna sign at the back. Some of you, if you've got a gold tag on your bag, we've done some. They're pre-signed already, so it's already signed. And then the rest we're going to be doing at the back. I didn't want you all to be queuing all day long. So excellent. Yeah, we've done some already. But thank you everyone for coming. Get home safe.